Here we are, almost done. Penultimate episode of the Retro Ranger Wrap Up Time Force Edition. Booyah? Yeah? No?
Booyakasha!
Today we are talking about episodes 35, 36, and 37. Um, we'll be getting into that shortly. But before we do, Jonathan, I just wanted to see what you've been up to and what you thought about the DC fandom stuff last week. I know this isn't a DC show, but that is the reason that we weren't here. So we
Yeah,
might as well give it a couple of minutes.
fandom was mid. I'm gonna be honest, it was very mid because everything that was expected pretty much only showed like what's upcoming and stuff that we already know.
Yeah, yeah.
They
I
didn't
mean,
give us
the Black Adam thing was dope, and the Batman was cool.
yes, yes.
The Flash footage was. I'm still gonna wait for a regular trailer. I wasn't super like I'm hyped for it just because of everything that's been announced, but what we got out of the trailers and everything that we got out of fandom, like it just didn't do anything for me.
It really didn't. And the Flash trailer was I mean, looking at that suit has too many lightning streaks on it. It's just
Yeah.
that's overkill.
So let me bring this back to Power Rangers for a second. Because something with the discourse out of these fan events and trailers when they drop, I think people misconstrue a lot of the discussion around it sometimes. Because having conversations with people on Twitter or even in person, if I said that the Batman trailer didn't do anything for me, does that mean that I think the movie looks bad, or does that mean that I didn't like the trailer?
It just means you didn't like the trailer. I mean, I could see the. I'm trust. I saw the trailer like 3 times. I didn't even make a reaction to it, but it looks good. It look like honestly, it looks good. It has some dope, action sequences and all that. But again, it's just a trailer. I mean, the trailer
Yeah.
has like over 25 million views on YouTube right now. So,
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's the same page that I'm on. Just because I say I didn't find the trailer interesting doesn't mean that the movie doesn't look good. Like, I thought the first trailer for the Batman was great. Like
yes.
it brought us all this new stuff, and this trailer to me just kind of felt like more of the same. So it didn't give me that same level of excitement that I got from the first one.
Yeah.
So yesterday was Hasbro PulseCon. The guys on the regular Ranger wrap up show later on today at 5 will be discussing this in detail. But I feel like a lot of the conversations that came out of that were similar, where people were reacting to what they saw at PulseCon, but not necessarily to uh, like the actual things that are coming out. So it's like one of those weird like this is what I'm saying, but then people are jumping on it because they're interpreting it as a slam on the actual thing instead of the marketing for it.
It's like people. Don't you understand what an opinion is? Positive
It's
or negative?
it's weird. I don't know. Edward Sanchez Productions and Jared Hodges are joining us. They are in the chat here. Welcome, guys, and thank you for coming by.
Oh,
Um,
one more thing I
yeah,
forgot to
yeah,
mention about fandom. The video game side was a disappointment. All they did was just show just story trailers and everything. And I know this because they said Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League got moved, not
yeah.
moved. That was
It
supposed to
got
release.
yeah, it
That's
got delayed
releasing
a little
next
bit.
year.
Yeah.
Gotham Knights that got delayed till next year. So I'm thinking, okay, but do you have gameplay to show us? No, not a single ounce
Yeah.
of gameplay for neither
Right? But at the
games.
same time, I'm still excited for the games. I just want to see stuff for them.
Yeah, I want to see the
Um,
gameplay.
on the Power Ranger side of things, we did get an announcement about the next season of Dino Fury, and that is going to be all on
Straight
Netflix.
straight to Netflix.
Um,
We are free from the reins of Nickelodeon.
we kind of knew that was happening, right?
Yes, I mean I kind of guess I was thinking like the only obvious choice would have to be Netflix. There's no other network channel I think that's gonna take Power Rangers at this point.
For me, it was a little confusing for me though because they went and they took off all of the seasons between what was it, Mighty Morphin and Ninja Steel.
Yes.
and then they went ahead and they were like, hey, here's 3 new episodes of Dino Fury that aren't on Nickelodeon yet and won't be airing on Nickelodeon for like 4 months. So it's like, okay, well, what is the strategy there? Like, it just didn't make any sense. And now they come out with this announcement that Dino Fury season 2 is going to be streaming to Netflix. So why did they take off all the other seasons?
And plus, they're putting the seasons on YouTube right now. And I will say they got a better job with uploading the episodes because I think it was like 2 weeks ago I saw the first couple of episodes of season 2 of MMPR season 2. I'm like, wait a minute, they're uploading like a quarter of the season already. I'm like, okay, this is good. Better than doing one episode per season a week. They should have been doing that since the jump. They
Right,
really should have
right.
been doing that since the
How's
jump.
the quality?
It's still the same, kind of like 480p for the seasons that had the 480p quality,
Right.
720 for the post Saban. I mean the Neo Saban seasons. So far the quality's still the same, just like it was on Netflix.
Yeah, yeah. That's something that's a little disappointing. Like I get it. It is not financially in their best interest to spend the money to do any sort of restoration, like 1080p upgrade or 4K upgrade or whatever
That would
it
be
might be.
beautiful. That would be
Um,
beautiful.
because like they did that with Star Trek. They completely remastered the original series to 1080p, and they redid a lot of the effects, which some people weren't happy about that because it's different than the original visuals were, but it looks better. It looks good. They completely redid that for Next Generation. With Next Generation was interesting though because everything was composited out to a high quality VHS tape, basically. Not the same quality as what you had at home for VHS, but like it's somewhere between. It's a professional version of it, so it's a high, just better quality visuals.
Right.
But they didn't have any of the original like special effect files from anything that might have been computerized, so they had to go back in from the film stock, like everything that they shot, and completely recut the show from scratch. They would watch the episodes and like go frame by frame and recut the episodes using the original source footage, and
Right.
then relayed all the effects on top of that using computers. Um,
Technology.
but they decided not to do that for Deep Space Nine and Voyager because of the low sales from TNG. They didn't make their money back. So I feel like doing that for Power Rangers, like if it's not worth it to do that for Star Trek, I can't see them ever doing that for Power Rangers.
Yeah. And see, before we go into these episodes, you asked a question back when we were going over movie madness. So I got word from Jason Font when I got to meet him at Comic-Con 2 weeks ago. Really nice guy. Really nice guy. So
He's fun. He's fun.
he is such a great guy. So the movie lot that they filmed on was the Universal lot.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It was the Universal lot.
Huh. That
Yeah.
what was it? What did I say? I thought it was Culver or
You
Sony.
thought it was the Warner Brothers
Oh
lot.
yeah,
Well, no,
yeah. That's right. I mean, their backlots do look kind of similar because they're not only are they within like 5 miles of each other, but the facades that they have, a lot of them are similar in nature. Universal, they have their own differences, but like if you have a New York set, it's gonna look like another New York set somewhere.
right.
But no, that's cool. I'm glad that he remembered.
Yeah, after 20 years.
Did he have anything else to say about the episode, or was that all you had asked?
He said that's like the cast's favorite episode. They always, they even he said because Michael Capone was also there. I didn't know he was gonna be there, but he said that they also had fun, like they were the go-karts,
Oh
that they were
yeah,
driving.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they had a lot of fun driving around the go-karts, I guess, on their downtime. So
So okay, so really quick before we get into these episodes, just off of that, when Joe and I were in the early days over at the other place, we had all got jobs working on a show that was shooting over on the Universal Studios backlot, in one of the sound stages there,
mhm.
and because of the distance between where our production offices were and the soundstage that we were shooting on, we got golf carts so that we could drive back and forth, lug stuff back and forth from the office to the stage without having to manhandle it all the way there. So after we would wrap at night, we every once in a while we would hop onto the go karts and just go drive around the lot.
That sounds
And
fun.
so we would be driving by uh, the clock tower or the Psycho House. Basically doing the studio tour like that you would get if you went and went to the park and went on the studio tour, but just
Mhm.
on our own in a golf cart.
That sounds a lot of
It
fun.
was fun. We got to see a couple of movies that we're shooting too, because we'd be driving around, we'd be like, oh, something's going on over there. Let's go see what's up. So
Get that
that was fun.
free access pass
Yeah.
for a movie lot. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So let's move on to these episodes. These were. This is an interesting trio.
One's a clip show. One's pretty much the last, I guess, story focus. No, okay, not the last story focus. Last monster of the week, episode, and one's a comedic episode. Comedic episode.
Like I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind comedy episodes. I guess let's just start with that one because that's the first one. This is was it Nadira's dream date?
Yep.
Like it was just there was one thing that I pulled out from this. Before I mentioned what that was though, why don't you give me a rundown of this episode and like a brief rundown because like this is super uncomplicated.
Brief. Okay, so basically, Nadira feels, what's the word I'm looking for? Unappreciated because she hasn't experienced romance throughout this entire season. So while she's fighting the Rangers, Lucas earlier is writing a poem about his first race car. I don't know who does that. Probably people do. And she gets it, and she thinks that Lucas has feelings for Nadira. She tells Ransik. Ransik gives gives him the lowdown of what's the dealio of the rules, or I guess the rules of dating Nadira.
8 simple
And
rules for dating my mutant daughter.
yes, the rules of dating. The rules of dating Nadir are simple. Just make sure you have expensive things. Simple as that. And of course, he tells the monster of the week not to attack Lucas at all.
So yeah. So there were parts of this that I found entertaining. Just overall, it was just kind of okay,
Really,
whatever.
I mean, I find, first of all, Vern Wells, his
Oh, he's
comedic
great.
timing,
He
his
is great.
his comedic timing in this episode is just hilarious. Just how, okay, just from the point where he starts look when he finds Luke, he's like, just the young man I've been looking for. Like I'm like, Nadira told me about you and her, and Lucas is like, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, don't be coy.
That was fun. During the fight when they were all morphed and he like goes and
That's
pushes the cyclobots off of Lucas and it's like not him and then he starts brushing him off. It's like, you okay? You okay? You good? You good? Like there were definitely funny moments in it. It just overall it just felt yeah. But here's what I noticed, and this is what makes it I think okay.
okay.
There was specifically a line that Ransik said to Nadira that was what's the matter or not what's the matter. It was like being evil is fun, right? Or something along those
Oh, you
lines.
said being evil always makes you happy.
Oh yeah. So that's something like honestly I thought about that for a few minutes because thinking about other movies or TV shows or stories in general, the bad guys, unless it's like a parody, they're not like I'm evil, ha ha ha. Like that's just like most bad guys in regular format stuff. They don't think that they're being evil. They're justifying their actions. Like they might think that that what they're doing is bad, but they know that what they're doing is bad.
Right.
And they justify it because they're like, oh well, the ends justify the means. Whereas here in Power Rangers, a show that's targeting kids, they have to point out directly what these guys are doing is evil. These are bad people. Do not emulate what they're doing. This is not good. You shouldn't be robbing banks. You shouldn't be attacking people at random. This is evil. And that line there was what reinforced to me that this show is targeting children, because if they don't point out the fact that what they're doing is evil, then kids may get other ideas and want to actually emulate them, because they don't necessarily know the difference between good and bad yet at the age range that this is being made for.
Right. Definitely.
So I thought that was interesting, and like that like I can't say that it changed how I look at the show, because that's something that I always knew, but that being that blatant and obviously put in your face to make the viewer aware that we know that these people are evil, and that being evil is bad. Just kind of it kind of just made me think for a minute, and it's something that yeah, like I said, just reinforce the kid show aspect of it, and makes you look at it not necessarily as critical as you would look at something that's clearly made for adults.
Right, definitely. And because I never thought of it that way, because as we go through this, I mean, as so far throughout this, we're pretty much nearly at the climax. And just to see how Nadira just goes through, I wouldn't say like a change, but just like a kind of like a realization of just being in the 21st century for so long, she has yet to do the normal things that other people would do. Like for like the entire season, she's just been like, I'm gonna go rob a bank and get some money. I'm gonna get some jewelry. I'm gonna go shopping. Blah 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 blah. But she hasn't really fully embraced, I guess you could say her human side, or I mean the human factor of self.
What's mutant about her? Like, do we actually know what her mutant?
I guess her nails. That's about it. The Lady Deathstrike nails that she gets, and that's about it. But as far as like, the human factor of her, she has yet to do that. But if you got for those of you who have seen Time Force and knows what Nadira goes to pretty much in the climax, don't say it, but just what I'm talking about.
But yeah, I mean it's one of those things where this episode it exists. I can't say it was bad, but I can't really say that it was good either. As a kid, I can see why people would think it was funny. But that's also, like I started watching Perfect Strangers. Like, have you ever seen that show? With
Never heard of it.
Balky, Cousin Larry.
Never heard of it. No.
So it was part of TGIF. It would air like after like at the same time, not at the same time, but along with Family Matters or Step.
Full House. It was part. It was part of that lineup.
Yeah, it was all in that block. And I was like, oh, I haven't seen the show in a while. The theme, like, I love the theme song from it.
Oh, okay, Perfect Stranger. I had to like, the show that's pretty much was the originator for Family Matters.
Sort of, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because Harriet was on Perfect Strangers first. But I'm watching the show. I'm like, I hate both of these guys. Like, they're not bad people, but I would not want to be friends with them. They are annoying. They don't know when to shut up, and they always get into stupid problems that they brought on themselves. Like, I would they're the guys who would come into a party, and I'd be like, all right, so it's time to go. It was nice seeing you guys. I'll catch you at work on Monday. Like that's who they are. And that's something when you're a kid, you don't necessarily realize that, because you're all about, like, the slapstick humor, the funny things that are happening. You're not necessarily in that frame of mind where you're like, oh, these guys are just really annoying. And it's something that happens when you grow up.
Yeah, you just get, you outgrow the childish qualities of the show, and you realize, why did you just ask yourself questions like, I can't believe I used to like this as a kid. Or like, why was this funny when I was
But then
younger?
like there's other things out there like Teen Titans Go. I love Teen Titans Go, but I think that's because it knows exactly what it is.
Yeah, okay. I think with Teen Titans Go, it took me a while to realize it's basically the show's point is to poke fun at itself.
Yeah.
And plus the show's acknowledges the haters it receives. I mean, back in its early days it didn't. It was just trying to like make episodes just to make episodes just to think the show would have a plot. But as the show continues on, which I'm still surprised the show is still on to this day.
Right.
It's like so bad it doesn't care.
Yeah,
it really
like
doesn't.
the turning point for me, like this is not Power Rangers related at all, but the turning point for me in that show, because like I really enjoyed the original Teen Titans show.
Right.
And then they brought this thing out. I was like, this is dumb. I'm not gonna watch it. This looks stupid. So I never watched it. And then one day it came on after something, or I was looking through the channels and I was on. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this a chance. I was in an episode where Beast Boy was played a prank on everyone, and to get him back, Raven phased him out of like unfazed him from everyone else, so he was able to walk through walls and everything, and he thought he was dead. He thought he was a ghost. So now he's doing all this stuff. He's like, well, I'm dead, so I can do whatever I want. So at the end of the episode, he's like, I'm gonna go jump into this volcano. So he starts climbing up a volcano, and everyone else is chasing after him because he's not actually dead. And one by one, as they climb up the volcano, they each die. And I'm like, this is a kid's show, and they just killed off everyone.
Yeah, cartoon logic.
And then I started watching it after that. I was like, okay, the show is actually funny.
Yeah, the show is pretty funny. Anyway, back to Power Rangers.
Yeah, so let's move on. Let's talk about the only episode that actually really has any impact. Meaning. Yeah, out of these three, because like, well, let's get the third episode out of the way. Because there's really nothing to discuss. Like, it's a clip show episode. They show us things from the earlier in the season, because we know that we're getting closer to the end. So it's just kind of like a recap to show us what has happened up to this point. The only thing of any importance that happened in this episode, I think, is that Eric comes by to tell Wes that his dad is working on trying to make that whatever the crystal thing is, the
trizerium crystal.
The trizerium crystal. And Wes goes to visit his father, and it's like, hey, this isn't a good idea. This thing isn't supposed to be made for another 100 years. You probably shouldn't do this because you could ruin the timeline.
Yeah.
And his father is like, whatever. But then later on, towards the end of the episode, he gets a delivery, and it's the trizerium powder or whatever it was they were going to use to make the crystals. And it's like, oh, my dad didn't do it. Maybe he isn't such a bad guy after all. That's like really all that matters in that episode.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, it's basically like you said, it's just a recollection of how far these characters have come from right from the beginning, from when they first met to where they are now, to like, they captured all the mutants, so they're prepared to like, okay, it's time for us to go home. Yeah, but let's recap of what we've been through this entire year, these past 37 episodes for us. And so yeah, I guess with Mr. Collins going through that whole life-death experience, he definitely had like a change of heart, and realized, and of course he fully accepts his son being a ranger, and realizing
that change was a little bit too I understand the whole life and death thing, like him getting injured could change his perspective on things, especially seeing his son with the Rangers like saving people. But I felt like the moment that he confronted Ransik and was like, no, I'm proud of my kid for forging his own path, I felt like that came out of nowhere. Like there was
really.
I don't feel like there was any build up to him having that change of heart and telling Ransik that, because previously he didn't mention any of that stuff to Wes. Like as far as we knew before that, he was still upset that Wes wasn't joining the family business.
Remember when after the whole part where he realizes Wes is a ranger, remember those moments where he's at Biolab and they're asking him questions and like, why don't we ask your son? He's a ranger. He always keeps saying, you leave my son out of this. that right there is basically him protecting his son's
Yeah,
identity.
I get identity, yeah, but like it's still it didn't feel to me like he had accepted what Wes was making his own choices and wanting to do his own thing and forge his own path. Um,
I can see your point with that.
that to me that just kind of felt more like he was trying to protect his son because he still cared about him, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he wasn't still upset about what was happening. And that I think was what kind of threw me off in that specific moment was I was like, okay, I get that this is happening. I understand why it's happening, and it's good that this is happening. But I felt like there could have been a little bit more nuanced interactions between them.
Right.
But still, I'm glad for the characters that they worked their shit out.
Yeah, they did. They did. And of course, the episode ends with Alex telling the Rangers and like, "Hey guys, great job on capturing all the mutants. Uh, you do." He's like telling them like, "But here's a problem. You guys do save the future, but you don't make it back." And he shows them a glimpse of all the time holes opening up over the city, and that leads us for the finale, which will be next week.
Yeah. And that kind of brings us back to what was this?
Circuit Unsure. Oh
Circuit
yes,
Unsure.
and
Yeah.
this episode's
Yeah.
a very special episode because it pays tribute to Tui Trang,
Mm-hmm.
the OG Yellow Ranger. She passed away back in 01. So yeah, that episode was a tribute to her. May she rest in peace. So yeah, I felt because I know a lot of people say with Time Force half the characters get development, and you're right. With Trip, his focus episodes are sometimes tied to Circuit, or he gets focus episodes on his own. But sometimes with him and Circuit, it's kind of a package deal because no one understands tech like Trip. Trip and Circuit, they're like the tech guys of the team. Circuit's like their database, and Trip is like the one he's able to like. When you go through, like for instance, at MMPR, whenever Billy says something very scientific, Trini is the one that translated into something that they can understand. That's basically what Trip is for the team.
Something that I think would have done the show a little bit better. Like maybe excuse me, maybe this would have worked out a little bit better if the show was targeting an older age bracket. But you're familiar with Quantum Leap, right?
Quantum sounds. That's a movie or a TV show?
It was a TV show in the '80s. It was Scott Bakula, who he was in Star Trek Enterprise, and then more recently he was in the NCIS New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
The basic premise of the show was that in the future, he invents this technology that allows him to travel back in time, or his consciousness would go back in time and take over another body. His not really assistant, but one of his coworkers was able to talk to him in the past via like this neural link thing. So he would show up as a hologram, and no one else could see him except for this guy. But he would have like a database that's like, well, here's what originally happened in this timeline. It looks like you're supposed to fix this or fix that or make sure that this doesn't happen or that doesn't happen or save this person or whatever. With Circuit, we learned in this episode that he basically has an encyclopedic knowledge of everything that's happened over the course of existence. Like he knows everything that's happened in the past, and he knows what's going to be happening in their future because he's from the future. So technically, that's the past.
He could probably only see up to the year 3000.
Right,
that's pretty much.
Right. Maybe beyond that, but we don't know. But Trip is able to see short glimpses of things that are going to be happening in the near future, right?
Not necessarily the near future, but things that are happening in the moment. Like for example, in the first episode, he was getting a reading that Ransik was hijacking the prison, or in the clock tower when Wes and Lucas are playing cards, he could see in his mind, he could see that what's in Lucas's hand,
right.
Or locate where pretty much I think Trips with his gem, he's only able to see things that are currently happening in the moment, in the present. He can't look backwards or forwards.
I honestly, like, I think it would have worked a little bit better if between him and Circuit, if Circuit was like that Al character from Quantum Leap, where he was like, well, this is what's happened, this is what's supposed to happen, or that this is what originally happened in the timeline, and Trip was like, oh well, Ransik is about to change that, or you know, like if they were if Trip was able to see the immediate effects of what the of how the timeline is changing due to Ransik's actions and their actions being there,
Hmm.
and Circuit was there to be like, well, this is how things originally happened, so we need to fix this.
Right,
Like
right.
I think I just think that would have been an interesting dynamic, because then that would have played into, again, the name a little bit more, the whole Time Force thing, with them protecting the timeline from the changes that were being made by their existence in the past and Ransik being in the
Kind
past.
of like the TVA from Loki.
Yeah, more or less, yeah, yeah. It's it's not necessarily an original thing, but I think that would have helped the plot out a little bit, because it would have given the team something to do other than just chase down the mutants that Ransik was sending out to attack. It would have given them a purpose of, here's why we need to fix the timeline.
Okay.
Um, but that, that's just a, as a fan of sci-fi stuff, that's just a thing that,
That's just a regular thing that comes
yeah,
across your mind.
yeah, yeah. Really quick though, before we move on, Donnie Pearson has joined us in the chat. Welcome, Donnie. And he says, I understand that Netflix is officially becoming America's new home for Power Rangers after a decade on Nickelodeon, and having been on ABC Kids and Fox Kids. Um, and yeah, we mentioned that earlier. We don't know necessarily what's going to happen after Dino Fury season 2.
I feel like 2022 is going to be a big mystery for Power Rangers because all we know is that season 2 is premiering in during the spring of 2022, spring of next year, and we got Power Morphicon that's going on next year. So somewhere next year we're going to get an announcement
Mm-hmm.
because 2023 is the franchise's 30th anniversary. So somewhere next year we're going to get some info about, who knows, maybe they have plans for the 30th anniversary, but who knows. 20 next year will remain a mystery. All we know is that, Dino Fury season 2 will be on Netflix. They gave us a little clip of it during PulseCon. We get some original footage and all that. So,
Yeah,
and
well, and
plus,
you got to figure, if they're going to be doing, if they want something to premiere in 2023, they're going to have to start casting for that within the next couple of months, and they're going to have to start shooting for it in the first quarter of 2022. Like
yeah,
they'll have realistically, they'll have to be shooting by, like, I would say by June, at the latest by June of 2022.
I mean, yeah, who knows? I mean, whenever they open the casting calls,
Yeah.
but yeah, it remains a mystery. These next 2 years for Power Rangers, I mean, well, year and a half. This next year and a half remains a mystery for Power Rangers.
Yeah. So all right. So what did we think of this episode? What are your thoughts?
Um,
I say that as if we're a collective unit. What did you think of this episode? And what did you think of this episode?
so yeah, this, besides the circuit and trip dynamic, I definitely liked what's the word? The stakes. I gosh, I'm like, what's that word again? The stakes, the high stakes in this episode of, like, a self-destruct system is about to explode in a laboratory and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Eric is having a Texas style gun showdown with the mutant, which was cool. That was cool to see. And that was pretty much it. It just, also, Frax is still conniving on his own behind Ransik. And actually, we didn't even mention that in the clip show episode. Galuto goes and finds Frax. He not lab, but he finds out that Frax is like, "Hey, Ransik, I mean, boss. Frax is making robots again." I'm like, oh, Rand's like, oh,
Oh yeah. Because we know the big showdown is he's heavily involved in that.
yeah. And oh my gosh, the tension that goes on between. Man, it really sucks that I'm not gonna be here to talk about the finale, because the finale is very emotional, and it's just on both ends of the show. Like, for the
Uh oh,
villains.
Jezzer just entered the chat.
What's up, dingleberries? That is funny. But yeah, it's just the finale for Time Force is just so emotional for the heroes and the villains. Like the emotional tension and the stakes, it's just so high. That's why I love Time Force so much. It's just
Do you hear those dings coming from my computer?
no, I didn't hear anything.
Okay. So they're all texting. Everyone's going to be heading over to my place soon for the rest of the stuff that we're taking care of this afternoon. So we're shooting the Ranger wrap up in the studio space that we have set up here and some
Oh,
other
look
fun
at
stuff.
also party at Josh's.
Yeah,
Cool.
but I couldn't tell if it was coming through my headphones or through my speakers, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, am I hearing things?
But that's basically the gist of these 3 episodes. The first episode was a comedic episode that kind of focused on Nadira a little bit and a little bit of Lucas. 36 and 37 are pretty much the two. Well, 37 is pretty much the penultimate episode leading up to the final arc, the 3-part finale. But yeah, it's just everything goes down and pretty much comes together in the finale. Everything.
Yeah. Text. It's like ding, ding, ding in our group text. Yeah, I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good setup for the end. I thought it was better than Nadira's dream date and better than that next clip show episode. Like I felt like the clip shows just to me in general aren't very
these clip shows were better. They're way better than the clip shows that we currently get in Power Rangers because with the clip shows they always use them for like the Halloween themed episode, the Christmas themed episode. And I'm just like, I don't want to see that. Like, I really don't want to see that because back then I never really realized that those episodes were kind of like clip shows, but it just still went with the flow. They just, it's just a recap of like, hey, you remember this? Remember when this happened? With the Neil Saban era, when how they did it, it's just, oh yeah, we got 2 clip show episodes per season, one during Halloween, one during Christmas. I'm just like, so I got to deal with this twice a year now. So
yeah, I don't know, but this episode was fun. I did like what was happening, like the dynamic between Trip and Circuit and how they like we obviously we know that that Circuit actually has a personality and has feelings. I did think that Alex was kind of a dick not telling Circuit that he was the one that deleted his information.
He waits till the last minute.
Right? He's like, I'm gonna let this robot that I know has feelings feel like shit until the very end of what's going on. Like that was kind of a dick move. But if that hadn't have happened, then we wouldn't have had the episode. So
Alex and his timing. Forgive me. Alex and his timing is just he just has bad time. He only does things when they're in deep trouble. I'm just like, could you just tell them now instead of waiting before they're about to.
Why is he wearing his sunglasses indoors?
I don't know. I don't care. That's all. I don't know, and I really don't care.
You can wear your sunglasses outside, and you can wear, and according to Corey Hart, you can wear your sunglasses at night because you don't want to put the blame on the guy in shades. Oh no. But indoors, like it didn't make any sense. It's just one of those weird costume things that
I guess it's supposed to add intimidation quality. I guess intimidation.
Sure. Yeah. I don't
whatever.
know. I don't know. So let me ask you, what should I be excited for? That's coming up in the finale.
Let's just say Eric gets a wake up call in the finale. He really you always wonder why he's always such a loner, why he does things his own way.
He wasn't necessarily a dick in the clip show episode. Like he did cut, like he knew what was going on, and he came to Wes and was like, listen, you gotta go talk to your dad. Like he you can feel that his character is changing a bit, and I feel like when I was mentioning that earlier about Mr. Collins and how he didn't it didn't feel like he was necessarily changing over the course of the series. You can get that feeling with Eric. Like you can see the evolution of who Eric was when we first met him and how he's softened, I guess is the right word,
Right.
or come to realize that he was being a dick and is now uh, uh, trying to be a better person.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's just generally deep down he does care. Like for the examples when Jen was told Eric like don't tell Mr. Collins we're from the future and everything, even though Wes is the one that tells his father that yeah my friends are from the future. But when Jen told him not to do it, he didn't do it. He kept it a secret. He was just like nope, nothing to report. So deep down he has a heart. He's not.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think Eric is a bad person. I just think he was kind of a douche.
Yeah. It's just yeah.
For lack of a better word, he was just he was Star Lord before the end of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Uh,
He was kind of a dick. He was doing unlike Star Lord, he was trying he wasn't like a thief or anything. He was trying to do the right thing, but he wasn't necessarily being the best version of a person that you could be. Uh,
right.
he was like, well, my life was rough. I didn't have this, or I didn't have that, or people didn't treat me right back when we were in school together. I've always been alone, so I'm gonna be a dick because I can be. But over the course of the season, working with the Time Force Rangers and seeing the relationship between Wes and his dad, which is something that he had been jealous of originally because when Eric and Wes were in school together, uh, Eric had assumed that because Wes came from a wealthy family and that his life was being planned out for him, uh, the fact that he was making a mistake by not taking advantage of that and wanting to forge his own way instead. And now that they've been reunited, and Eric is actually seeing Wes and learning about him as a person and learning who Wes's father was, he's starting to see that maybe he was wrong about the way he looked at things originally.
Right.
It's kind of deep for a kids show, but that's what's there.
But yeah, what else to expect? You know, Eric gets a bit of a wake up call. Nadira does some soul searching, if I would say. She does some soul. She actually does some inner deep deep inside soul searching. And of course, Ransik becomes more brutal than he he becomes more brutal than he normally does. He goes from like, this person of just like yes, he hates humans and all that, but this time he's just like taking it to another level. He's just like full on wipe them all out, get rid of them. That's I would say like on the reins of Magneto, but even Magneto, he's not that heartless.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for these next three episodes. I think they're going to be fun. I think by the end of the last episode, this will still be out of the. I don't know where I would rank it so far out of the seasons that I've watched because I started with In Space, then Lost
Mm-hmm.
Galaxy, Lightspeed Rescue, and now Time Force. Like I think I might rank this above Lightspeed Rescue.
Okay.
But I don't know that I would rank it above
In
In Space
space.
or Lost Galaxy.
That's fair. That's totally fair. Those are top. Those three are top tier seasons anyway. So
I don't know, but I think that kind of brings our conversation on these three episodes to a close. We will be back next week with the final three episodes of Power Rangers Time Force. We will be taking a week off after that, and we're going to be tinkering with the format of the show, and we are going to be moving over to Facebook. So if you are not following us on Facebook, head over to Facebook, search for the Illuminerdi's Inner Circle and the Illuminerdi, our regular page. Follow both of those, join the group, and we will let you know when those changes are going to take effect. I don't know if we're going to be on at the same time or if we're going to shift that around, but expect to see that in the next week to 10 days when that's going to happen. Blackwing, I understand you are going to be streaming again. Do you have a grand entrance
return,
planned for
grand
that?
return. So I'm gonna be playing. I'm jumping back on to streaming again. It's been a while because thanks to Josh and a couple of others, I've been, scrounging around trying to make sure I have the perfect. I mean, there's no such thing as perfect. The right, proper, professional
Adequate.
streaming.
Adequate.
Yes, adequate. The adequate streaming setup, and thankfully, Josh has directed me in the right locations. Some others have directed me in the right locations, and of course, with my doing some fair share of research, I got the right equipment that I need. So yeah, I will be jumping back into streaming sometime tomorrow, and the game I'm gonna be jumping back into the game I'm gonna be doing for my grand return. I'm doing one of my favorite games of all time, Sonic Adventure. So if you love Sonic, if of course this year's Sonic's 30th anniversary. So if you love Sonic the Hedgehog, if you love the 3D Sonic games, I know there's an audience out there that loves them, and of course there's an audience out there that likes to bash them to the ground. But
I know our buddy Daryl Delphin is a big fan of Sonic.
Oh yeah, Daryl loves Sonic. Shout out to Daryl. Daryl's awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna be streaming Sonic Adventure, and probably after that, Sonic Adventure 2. I'm probably gonna do like the first two Adventure games, and then maybe Sonic Heroes, because Sonic Heroes didn't release for the 360, so I still have my Xbox copy. I just gotta slap that bad boy into the 360, and boom, and all set.
Nice. I recently got back into Fortnite. It's one of those games that I hate that I enjoy playing it.
You hate, but you enjoy playing.
I hate that I like it. Because
So
it's the type of game that I'm not good at, but just because of how goofy it is, I enjoy it. It's kind of like Borderlands. Like I'm not good at like shooters just in general. I don't have the coordination for them. But the Borderlands series is just so goofy that I can't help but enjoy playing it. And I feel the same way about Fortnite. Is like these battle royale games, I'm not great at them, but it's just fun, and being able to see like people run around in like Deadpool costumes, or as Carnage, or as a Jedi, or Ariana Grande in space in like a space suit. It's just fun. It's stupid. But I've been watching Eric Berry from Ranger Power Hour.
Shout out to Eric.
He's been streaming Fortnite on his Twitch channel, and I was watching him the other day. I was like, all right, I'm gonna re-download this. So I downloaded it. I signed up for the monthly membership thing, and now basically what I'm doing is like I work on stuff, and then when I finish something, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a break, and I'll sit down at Fortnite, and I'll play through like one or two rounds. And then I'll stop, because like that's the nice thing about that game is you can jump in and play it for 20 minutes, and then you can just jump out and go back to doing whatever it was that you were doing before. It doesn't require a huge time commitment to be able to play it, because everyone going into each of the games are all like people might be better than you, but it's not like jumping into an MMO where people might be like out leveling you by like 40 levels, and just like hit you, be like One Punch Man you and into oblivion. Everyone has the same access to weapons and armor and shields and all that kind of stuff. So the only thing that's holding you back is your actual skill with the game. Everyone has the same opportunity, so I like that aspect of it.
Yeah, that's like me with was it Battle for the Grid. I mean, it's not that I hate it. It's just that every time I play online, some players I can beat. Some players, of course, are better than me.
Well, I mean, no one likes losing, but
no fighting.
But if they can make you have fun, if the game can make you have fun when you lose, then that's good. That's good.
But if I'm getting like my butt kicked and I'm not being able to lay like a single attack on nobody, then I'm just like,
yeah, you're like, all right, I'm turning this off. Throw the controller down. And you're like, that's it. I'm done. It's over. That's me. Yeah. So we might depending on if I team up with Eric at any point, we might start streaming that on our Twitch channel here at the Illuminerdi. Make sure you're following us there if you're not. Later on tonight, myself and Joe and Daniel will be doing a watch along / smoke along for Midsummer, which is available to watch on Amazon Prime. So if you have Amazon Prime, tune into our Twitch if you like horror movies. I don't want to force anyone to do it, but come watch it with us as we get stoned and discuss the movie.
I just laugh at the fact that you guys are gonna be smoking while watching movies. What you hookah or cigarettes? I mean, not cigarettes. Cigars. So, doing it like Bachelor
so
style.
so so I got Joe into the whole smoking. Well, I didn't get Joe into it, but like over the pandemic, we had been offered some cannabis related items to
Uh-huh.
review. So we were like, okay, yeah, we'll review these. Why not? So, and that kind of got me into it and started doing a lot of research. And then because I was looking so much into it, that got Joe into it, and he started digging into it. Like I think Joe researches this stuff more than I do now. So what we're doing is he is pairing a strain of marijuana with whatever we're watching, so you can look and see what the effects are. And it's kind of like a dinner and a movie, but
Uh-huh.
with marijuana instead of food and alcohol.
Ah, gotcha.
So that's fun. Again, come watch us do that on Twitch. I just got a message from Joe telling me that he's downstairs waiting to get in. So
He's like,
I
open the door.
so I am going to sign off. But again, you can find me on the social media at Bogon Poetry Slam, both on Twitter and Instagram. Jonathan, aka Blackwing.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch at Blackwing2040. There's no space in between the Blackwing and the 2040. Altogether, one typing. There's no spaces in between. But yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, we will see you guys in about 3 hours for the regular Ranger wrap up, where they'll be discussing everything to come out of the Hasbro PulseCon, and hopefully later tonight on Twitch. So have a good rest of your Saturday.
Peace out.